सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला।
सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate. Arnab Goswami on The Debate.
Thank you for staying with us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Niranjan and I'm filling in for Arnab Goswami, who will be back in a short while. But on the show at 9 p.m. tonight, we wanted to get you some facts about the way this entire situation has played out in Indian aviation with the IndiGo emergency all of today. Over 1,000 flights have been cancelled as of this minute. Only today, you had 550 flights that were cancelled yesterday, 1,000 flights and more today. And the most shocking aspect of it is that IndiGo says it was planned. IndiGo says we decided to cancel these flights to align our crews and our planes, which means IndiGo had a plan and IndiGo's plan was to cancel them so that starting midnight or tomorrow, all the flights, or most of them at least, will be back on track. But let's get you some facts before we get you the full story of how the government caved in. Some of the pointers on how the week started this in Indian aviation. This week started with an unprecedented aviation crisis with thousands stranded in choked airports. And the week ended with the DGCA quietly rolling back what is one of the most important fatigue protection rules for pilots, or the FDTL. A rule that barred airlines essentially from counting leave as weekly rest, which many pilots have been asking for so that safety of passenger travel is not compromised. And this decision today was presented as a temporary operational relief when eventually the government and the airline regulator gave out their press release. But the subtext, ladies and gentlemen, very impossible to miss. The regulator has blinked under pressure from India's largest airline. That's a little bit of a background of the technical reasons and what has been happening in the background of the IndiGo emergency. Here's the story, the full story of how the government caved in, and then we have a debate at 9 p.m.
Chaos, cancellation, catastrophe, or an unavoidable crisis. In January of 2024, the DGCA revised the flight duty time limitation rules, bringing pilot rest times to global standards. In May of 2024, the government notified the rules. That was 553 days ago. The rules ensured pilots get 48 hours of weekly rest, extending night duty times till 6 a.m. in the morning and limiting night landings for pilots only to 2 per week, with no more than 2 consecutive night duties. All measures aim to ease off pilot fatigue, a leading cause attributed behind aircraft incidents. These new norms were to kick in 2 phases, from July 1, 2025 and November 1, 2025. As soon as the new norms kicked in, IndiGo's flight operations went for a toss. Of the 1,232 flights that IndiGo recklessly cancelled in November, 61% were due to crew shortage. Despite this, IndiGo went ahead to add 1,323 new flights per week ahead of the busy winter season. A reckless decision despite crew shortages. To put that into context, Akasa and SpiceJet roughly operate the same number of flights per week. meaning IndiGo added another airline worth of flights without the crew roster capacity. Reports suggest IndiGo was also under tremendous financial pressure, with net loss increasing to Rs 2,582 crore in Q2 of the fiscal year 2026, adding market pressure to increase the capacity. With over 1,000 flights now cancelled in a single day, questions are being asked. Did IndiGo know? Amidst pressure following the passenger outrage. The government today caved into the pressure exerted by IndiGo, rolling back the clause no leave shall be substituted for weekly rest from the FDTL norms. Not just that, DGCA also gave IndiGo a 30-day period to comply with the new norms. While every other airline complies, IndiGo got a free pass. While the Minister for Civil Aviation is conspicuously silent, IndiGo CEO broke his silence with a template apology and more bad news. Delays will continue for another 10 days.
FDTL implementation relief is great help. It will take some time to return to a full normal situation, which we do anticipate between the 10th and the 15th of December.
Did IndiGo willfully cascade the crisis with route additions? Was this an attempt to force the government to roll back the norms? Did IndiGo think it was too big to fail? Has the government failed the citizen with the aviation disaster?
Okay, joining us on the debate this evening, quickly, Captain C.S. Randhawa, President, Federation of Indian Pilots, live from Delhi. Ajay Bagga, he's a political commentator, also a markets expert. Captain Ehsan Khalid, veteran Indian Air Force pilot, former commander of Boeing 737 NG fleet, I beg your pardon. Sanjay Laza, an aviation expert, joining us on the debate. And Parvez Damania will be joining us soon. Lokesh Jindal, Sanat Kaul, Chairman, International Foundation for Aviation, Aerospace and Drones. Rajiv Mehra, General Secretary and former President of FAITH, which is the Federation of Association in Indian Tourism and Hospitality, completes the panel. I'd like to start with Sanjay Laza, because I know he's got to leave a little early. Okay, let me start with some points. I'd like to place a few facts on record. Many people have been looking at the pictures and videos of what's been happening, don't know the background, Sanjay. But I wanted to put some facts on the table of whether IndiGo had an advance warning or not. Did we know what was coming? Of course they knew. In fact, the rules were notified in January. The DGCA revised these limits in January 2024. DGCA rules were notified in May 2024. Initially, airlines were asked to comply from June 2024. DGCA deferred the rollout for a year in 2 phases. Phase 1, July 2025, and now November 2025. They had time. It's not like they didn't know what was coming, Sanjay. They knew exactly what was going to happen. And yet, they let it happen. Sanjay.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. Thank you for having me on your show. And it's as though they waited for the chips to fall. They knew exactly, like you said, in January of 2024. Last April, May, June, they were trying to bring it in. Eventually, they asked for time. It came to this year in 2025. July, phase 1 was implemented. They were all well aware of what the requirement would be, what their standard force was needed to be, and what would happen if they did. And please note, from summer to winter 2025, they've increased their number of flights by over 1,000, almost 1,000 flights. So obviously they knew that there was going to be, they had adequate staff, or if they did not, they were still just pushing the envelope to block slots. And I think it's highly irregular for an airline of the size and reputation and monopoly of IndiGo to have done something like this. I believe there needs to be a deep investigation. And I think, unfortunately, you're right, the DGCA has buckled. So has the Ministry of Civil Aviation. Maybe they're, trying to save face during this period of, Christmas, New Year, holiday season, wedding, etc. But that's no excuse, because this DGCA pilot car, FDTL, has been hanging fire for some years now. And it's been in courts for a couple of years as well. The FIP had filed a case. Captain Randhawa is on the panel. I'm sure he will speak more about that. But when it's only aligning Indian systems with global systems, it's not that you're giving pilots some relaxation on tough working hours. You're just bringing them on par with the rest of the world. So why then is this huge, resistance?
So does that essentially mean, perhaps Captain Randhawa can also be, come into this, because what we're essentially doing by going back to the old norms is playing with the pilot safety here. There has always been a complaint, perhaps Captain Randhawa, you could, elaborate on this, that for the longest time, with these norms at place, what we have essentially done is made our pilots work inhuman hours.
See, first and foremost, I would like to say that, when the DGCA was not implementing the FDTL CR, which was scientifically made by them, then ultimately we were in court since 2019 on this FDTL CR. And when we approached the High Court that DGCA is not trying to implement this, finally the verdict came around April this year, and in which they were told to totally implement the CR. And thereafter, the DGCA again called all the airlines that when should we implement? We wanted an immediate implementation as per the court order. However, still, DGCA asked the airlines, when would you like? So they dictated terms that the 60% of the CR should be implemented on 1st of July and the 40% should be implemented on 1st of November. This all airlines had agreed by DGCA. And why did DGCA ask them? And this is a safety measure. Now, the FDTL limits, you must understand, it is the limit. FDTL, what does it mean? It's the limit. Supposing I have to do 8 hours of flight duty time, then 8 hours is the limit. Do the airlines also have to go to 8 hours? That is the limit. The airline should cut off before that. But no airline is doing it. Sorry to say. And let me tell you, today with the meeting with the minister, we said there has to be criminal proceedings against the people at the senior management of IndiGo for having planned and masterminded this fiasco in the country. They need to be implicated. And
sir, I'll tell you the more shocking aspect. No, what hit me, Captain Randhawa, is the language and the tone of the IndiGo CEO, okay? He said something which just hit me. He said that this entire thing was planned. He said we cancelled the planes. So he admitted that the cancellations were known to align the plane and the crews, okay? He says that. And then he says we did it to align it, but the FDTL then becomes incidental because anyway by tonight they were going to align it.
Correct. This is what I have been saying since last 3 days. There's much more to it. It is not the FDTL. It is not shortage of crews. It cannot lead to so many cancellations.
Can I just add? Captain?
And now you are coming with it that it was planned. And if it is planned, then people of the IndiGo airline have to be criminally prosecuted by the country.
Captain Randhawa, I was actually speaking to one of the pilots from another airline and including an IndiGo pilot a short while back just to get a sense of what's really happening. Correct me if I'm wrong, and Rajiv Mehra can also come in. Niranjan, in fact, it turns out perhaps IndiGo should come clean on this entire aspect that during the last 3 days, this is the 4th day that we are looking at the cancellations, were international flights cancelled?
Yeah.
Were international flights cancelled or not?
Some, very few.
And if you look at the bulk of flights that have essentially been cancelled, it turns out that these are flights which are domestic flights.
Yes.
It is also, it seems that there was an artificial scarcity that was basically created so that you're pushing the regulator as well as the ministry on the back foot to take this final call that, okay, go back to the old norms. And I want to ask this, Rajiv Mehra, how long can this be accepted in the sense that there is a limit to the greed that every corporate house essentially has? You are basically crossing the limit. Look at the images that are coming in from across the country. It's a pan-India emergency.
Good evening. The position is that what you are saying is absolutely correct. However, whatever has happened or is happening, I only said on one of the channels yesterday that to become normalcy, we will have to do a 30-day leverage at the moment, and then that is the end of the story. No
why
more
give
extension.
that leverage? Even why give that 30 days of leverage? Because here, as Captain Randhawa was also pointing out, this is not something that was done overnight. It's a phased manner rollout.
1.5 years. 1.5 years, 18 months.
The point here is,
I don't agree with you, Rajiv Mehra. I do not agree with you. No, not at all. You cannot leave them out of the leash.
To me now.
No, not at all. This is not acceptable.
Sir, 1 minute. The problem here is that you are not listening because I am speaking as a neutral person, because we have foreign tourists held up everywhere, and Air India is charging 5 times, 10 times fares. Hotels increase their rates 4 times.
You compromise safety, and you will dilute the rules. You will dilute the rules.
We are in deep trouble at the moment. Has anyone
deep trouble is because of the airline. They should be taken.
Captain Randhawa, it's not just the airline. Today, if someone has played with the safety of the passengers, it's not just the airline, but those who are part of the regulatory body. Just look at how the fixed match has been. And in fact, in the newsroom, my colleague, when I was telling this to Niranjan this morning, that, okay, look here what has essentially happened. Because if you look at the meeting that took place, and by way of sources that information actually came out, what really transpired in that meeting with IndiGo's management, it turns out IndiGo was very clear. They had admitted to the fact that, look here, we are not going to normalize the situation. We cannot normalize the operation till about February. So what does the aviation minister, or for that matter, the DGCA really do? They're like, okay, we'll do anything that you need. That's the unfortunate part.
Look at the Mr. Rajiv Mehra, let me just quickly for a second bring in the other panelists, because I want to read out this letter. Sir, we've been following the story here in the newsroom. Let me just give you I don't know much about aviation. I know a little bit, not too much. But let me tell you, as a journalist, when I'm following the story, okay? Crisis has been ongoing. By the way, in November itself, over 1,000 flights cancelled. Okay? November, all of November. Yeah? Yesterday, it escalates. And then there is a meeting at night. And in the meeting, DGCA, Ministry of Civil Aviation, and IndiGo are present, right? And then there is a press release that comes out just around prime time during the debate. They say, DGCA says, airlines have come to us. They have told us they want some provisions relaxed. They want exemption, right? At that point, they knew that today all flights are going to be cancelled. They knew it was going to be cancelled because the plan was in place. Today all flights were cancelled, and today the CEO says, we informed all the passengers. We don't know how and why they came to the airport. What are you saying, sir? We've been speaking to all the passengers. None of them were told their flights are cancelled. And people are checking the status on the site. Nowhere does it say it's cancelled. And you know what? The worst part in this, I'm shocked. This morning, on cue, the DGCA puts out a press release. DGCA says, subject withdrawal of instructions regarding published weekly rest, paragraph number 2, in view of the ongoing operational disruptions and representations received from various airlines regarding the need to ensure continuity and stability of operation, it's been considered necessary to review the said provision. On cue. It's been happening for a month. Escalates yesterday. They decide to cancel today, but don't tell anyone. They wanted to play out perhaps. I don't know. Ajay Bagga, I want to bring you in. It's a crazy situation, Mr. Bagga.
The point here is,
Sir, I want to bring in Mr. Bagga, sir.
The point here is very clear.
Yeah.
that what we could also understand is that from tomorrow or maximum Sunday, by grounding planes today, they should come back to some normalcy.
Sir, exactly,
happens,
sir. You think,
that is what we want.
sir? Imagine, if, sir. Of course, you. That is what you want. That is what IndiGo also wants. That's what passengers want. But my point is, Mr. Bagga, they knew it's going to come back to normal in a day or two. They just needed to arm twist the government. They've blackmailed the government, Mr. Bagga.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, Niranjan, and that is the. That is the nature of a monopoly or a duopoly. Aviation is a very critical infrastructure for any country. We have neglected it. It's very high cost. It needs deep pockets. It needs upfront capital commitments. We have really neglected it. A lot of airlines have failed. And now IndiGo being the largest, it is really arm twisting the government. The regulator was asleep at the wheel because they allowed a much expanded winter schedule which should not have been allowed. So clearly, I don't know why nobody in DGCA is suspended today. We are talking about taking the heads off IndiGo, but why aren't you talking about the regulator? That's one question. And you really wonder then how safe is flying in the country if there is a sleeping regulator at the wheel. Secondly, on IndiGo itself, there was no, I have had friends who are coming back. We had 9 Pandits from Kashi Vishwanath flying. They reached the airport after a 3-hour journey to Bangalore airport, only to be told after 6 hours. And now their flight ticket 2 days later is at 50,000 rupees per ticket for economy class from Bangalore to Kashi Vishwanath. That is the reality. All the other companies are doing price gouging, Niranjan. Yeah. Why isn't the government saying, I will not allow more than 10,000 rupees on an economy ticket? You can't do price gouging. Why isn't the government coming out with all this? All these players are given huge subsidies. The airline operators in Delhi and Bombay are asking for 50,000 crores as passenger handling fees for terminals which were decrepit when they took over. Now they are saying for those years pay us 50,000 crores. Government doesn't have money. You will be charged. If you fly out of Bombay or Delhi, instead of 139 rupees, you will be charged 1,500 rupees per ticket. That is the kind of thing that's happening in this country. It's loot in the public domain. The regulator is asleep. I don't blame the politician. He has won his election. He has been rewarded with that role. He doesn't know much about the subject. What were the subject matter experts doing? These managements get away. I'm saying you pass a rule tomorrow. Any flight that you cancel, you will pay 5 times the ticket price back to the passenger. See how things change. Why aren't you doing this? It's such a travesty, Niranjan. For a 1 hour 20 minutes flying time, the flight shows 2 hours 30 minutes. And then they say all our flights are on time. You know how much you keep waiting at airports, on tarmacs, everywhere else. This the aviation ministry has allowed. You just overstate your on time totally when the service is pathetic. There is no on time, but then it's a critical infrastructure. I agree with Rajiv ji. Today the government's hands were tied. They had to give up. I know it's probably an engineered chaos by IndiGo. I also know nothing will be done. Yeah. There's nothing that's going to happen. I am saying you tell them all these 1,000 flights you cancelled, pay five times the fare that you charge the passengers back. You see what happens. People are saying, no, they turn around planes fast, so they are good. They made losses of 2,500 crores last quarter. Don't blame them. They made losses because the management was foolish. They didn't cover their dollar exposures. The rupee has depreciated 5% this year. Their costs have gone up. Why weren't they hedging their dollar exposure?
So correct me if I'm wrong.
Indian passengers should pay for their losses then.
Yeah, no, correct me if I'm wrong, Shravan. Correct me if I'm wrong, and anybody on the panel can correct me. Has the Civil Aviation Minister / Ministry / DGCA given a directive on capping of airfares After the crisis today, there are literally 500,000 and more passengers.
There's a passing reference that has been
made. I put this question to the minister that neither you on the capping, even the hotel tariffs.
You want to go Bangalore, Delhi? It is going 75,000.
I had the prices.
Go to any travel portal and check now, Niranjan.
I have the prices.
I will ask your research guys.
No, we have the prices. I'll put the prices and Shravan can take the next question. No, we'll put the ones from the morning.
Let me just also bring in Mr. Kaul, because Mr. Kaul has been there for quite some time. I want to understand this.
To make a couple of points. One is that the passengers are the last people in India. The airlines dominate the system in every part of government and otherwise, and passengers are the last people. I have been held up in a European city for 24 hours, and I was paid automatically in my account 600 euros and a hotel stay and so on. These are the facilities being given in Europe. What about India? Nothing. There is, if you have a grievance, you can either write to DGCA, who's so overworked with routine things like these that he can't look into passenger complaints, and there are plenty of them. And if you go to consumer court, you have the same thing. Why can't we have a particular cell, a particular commission for passenger grievances? We have for the economic regulator today and DGCA. Now, about DGCA, there was a plan to make DGCA into a civil aviation authority, independent, semi-independent of the government. You can't be independent of the government, but with a panel of people, experts, and an expert from ICAO was called to design it. He designed it, it was approved, it was passed by the cabinet, it was even put in as a bill. And then nothing happened after that, it was never passed. So we are still held up with a undertaking which is a subordinate office of the ministry, who are not able to do very much, and they are always in trouble because they can't create force. They have a lot of problems with other people. Now coming to this problem, this, I think, is a very clear case as people have been discussing, so I don't want to say more, but all I can say is there should be a heavy fine on IndiGo for violating this. Extension had to be given because there were passengers involved now. All these passengers waiting. You have to give them the extension.
To me, Mr. Kaul, to me what it appears...
There has to be a heavy fine.
Well, fine, it seems like... they have essentially been awarded for it, because if you literally see how this has been planned, and Captain Ehsan, help me understand this.
Thank you.
Someone who as a journalist who's been closely following the developments within the sector, it's quite surprising because the approvals that essentially came in for the number of flights that they can operate, it seems that with what they had in terms of the number of pilots that they had in their pool, wasn't really enough for the flights that they were essentially operating. And in fact, 1,000 more have basically been added to it, which is a clear indication that you have lesser number of pilots, there's a freeze on hiring, and you still want to operate more number of flights because it's the winter season. It is a clear-cut case of profiteering at the cost of safety of not just the passengers, but also the safety of your own pilots.
It is a very weird situation. Why? Because, in this case, we have thousands of stranded passengers, paid passengers waiting at the airport. Aircraft is at the tarmac. Pilots are also at the airport. And everyone is ready to fly except the airline. Something I have never seen in my 40 years of exposure into flying. Okay, if it was not engineered, then let me tell each panelist and your viewers, we are seeing the beginning of the end of a great airline. Hiring freeze for last 1 year, whereas they should have increased the hiring, mounting losses, and en masse cancellation of flight across the country. We are seeing something that we have seen with other airlines. What we must ask the DGCA is that fine, you gave an relaxation to IndiGo and other airlines. What commitment has the airline given you in terms of pilot hiring? Will they hire 500 pilots in the next 3 months? Will they take some pilots on their training roster straight away in next 1 month? We don't know anything about it. skyrocketing ticket prices. We could have controlled it, we did not, because the airlines are profiting out of it. Okay, there is nothing to do with FDTL and this 61% cancellation of flight.
Yeah.
Because 10% is all pilots' increment that this airline needed to have to run their roster.
Yeah.
You know, everyone remaining the same, the rules and the congestion and the weather, SpiceJet is increasing their flight by 100 flights a day to make good IndiGo loss.
Yeah.
So how can you talk about FDTL norms leading to cancellation and crew shortage? So therefore, it is very important to understand that this cancellation and the passengers being stranded is not because of pilot shortage.
Yeah.
Pilot IndiGo has the pilot to do this entire roster that they had planned, and they were doing it till 24 hours, 48 hours back. They do not want to do it unless their way is granted by the DGCA. That is what it appears.
Sir, Parvez Damania is also here because I have a few numbers and I want to ask Parvez Damania. See, Parvez Damania, 1,232 cancellations that IndiGo had in all of November, right? Nearly 61%, that is around 755 cancellations that it had in all of November was because of staff shortage. Staff shortage was there. This means well before December commenced, IndiGo knew that it won't be able to keep up the operations, okay? You know what IndiGo did at the end of October? They approved 1,323 more flights a week as compared to last winter. They increased it, right? Now, it's also that you look at the kind of numbers that, they knew that they didn't have a requisite staff. Q2 numbers show that IndiGo had made a net loss of 2,582 crore, more than, and there is an increase of 986 crore in the same period last year. And due to a financial concern, it had a hiring freeze in place. We don't know. Perhaps there was a hiring freeze in place and was not recruiting more staff amid poaching concerns as well. Now, they knew the FDTL norms had to be kicked in, and they knew they had 1 year's time. But despite the crunch and despite, the time that they had, they decided to still push ahead. They knew it was coming. Parvez Damania, there's nothing that can defend IndiGo in this. What is your stance, sir? This is nothing, but most of us feel it's engineered.
First and foremost, one has to remember that IndiGo is a 19-year-old airline. It didn't start yesterday. So they absolutely knew what was happening. Second thing, if you booked aircraft, you know 2 years in advance which date the aircraft is going to be delivered. Second thing, it's not rocket science to understand how many pilots, co-pilots you need per aircraft. It's a very simple system. So when they filed the winter schedule, increasing 300 flights, they knew that they would not have the number of pilots. If they did not have the number of pilots, they should not have increased the flights.
1,300, not 300. 1,300.
Sorry?
1,300, not 300.
Now, again, I'm telling you something. This cancellation, okay, let's put the pilot shortage one side. Let's put that on one side. Today, what stops them from looking after the consumers who are stranded at the airport? These pictures are very sad and pitiable. The way the things are looking, people are stranded. There was one guy with his wedding invitation saying, my wedding is tomorrow and I can't go. And today, the CEO has come on TV and saying, tomorrow we are likely to have less than 1,000 cancellations. Let us remember, each aircraft carries about 180 people. That means tomorrow more 180,000 people are going to get stranded. There was no communication, baggages are not being delivered. Plus, the people are stranded at the airport. They said, kal milega, parso milega. I mean, lack of communication cannot be forgiven. Standards of service, see, today IndiGo's got to remember they've become this big because the consumer has supported them. They become a success story because of the Indian consumer. If you treat the consumer in this way, it's going to really hurt your image and everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Today, see, the major problem in India, try and understand what it is. Indian government, we as a consumer have become so dependent on IndiGo because it's become such a giant operation that we do not have the option. So either government should promote other people, bring in more airlines, support other people who want to come in, make an entrance easier. If we have more airlines, the situation won't arise. So I think I feel sorry for the people that I'm seeing at the airport. It's a terrible situation. Plus, the people are stranded. They can't go home because taxi drivers are asking 5,000 to take them back. The other airlines have raised the tickets to 40, 50, 60,000. What about a poor family who doesn't have the wherewithal? How will he go if he's got to, somebody lands from London to Bombay to go to Bhopal and his flight is cancelled? What's he going to do? So I think it's a very, very sad situation that we've got into with IndiGo.
Yeah.
Could this actually have been avoided is the larger question here, because it seems that some airlines are also benefiting out of it. For instance, today...
It could have been avoided if IndiGo had planned it better. This aircraft induction...
The question that I was asking, Mr. Damani, is that how is it that the other airlines did actually follow it? For instance, as far as Akasa is concerned, I'm given to understand that they did. In terms of the number of recruitment that was essentially being done, Air India had already started doing so because they realized that they may not be in a position to comply if the hiring essentially is not done. So I'm told that the airline had started hiring in the last couple of months itself. So it seems that somewhere down the lines, IndiGo was certainly hoping that something would really change, or else what explains the fact that every other airline was complying, barring IndiGo?
It did change. The government did take the law back. The government passes a law of flight duty time limitation, and then the government took it back. So ultimately, IndiGo won. In short, IndiGo got what
Mr. Bagga wants to come in.
Of the passenger. Shravan,
I think it also comes down to an Indian life is not worth as much as a global life. Because what are these norms? It's not put by some arbitrary regulator. These are global norms for the safety of the passenger. Mr. Damania has put the consumer's perspective very well. Look at the airports, what they have become today. The IndiGo CEO is lying on record that we have informed people, we are giving them food, we are giving them hotels. Nothing is happening. You see on social media what people are saying, Mr. Damania. 2 hours they will keep on extending. People are waiting for 12 hours. No food, no hotels, no information. This is what's happening. 2 lakh passengers a day are being made to suffer. Which country, which civilized country allows this? This is the question,
Shravan. IndiGo is saying tomorrow 1,000 flights will get cancelled.
Sir, I'll tell you.
So that means tomorrow another 180,000 people are going to get stranded.
Sir, I wanted to bring you this example because this is an ongoing story in the last few days. I don't know how many of you, and maybe some of you have been following it. You know the UPS cargo jet crash that happened a few weeks back? UPS cargo jet crashed, and you would have seen those horrific pictures, right, from Kentucky where the crash happened. You know what plane? It was a Boeing, okay? Boeing has been taken to task, lawsuit has been filed, and people are going after Boeing in a way that Boeing will never forget in America, okay? And it was a cargo plane. It was a cargo plane. Very few, compared to our Ahmedabad plane crash, a few people died. But what have we done, sir? And I want to ask Lokesh Jindal, I think he's just left. Okay, I want to ask you, after AI 171, sir, we will meet again. God forbid we don't have to meet in such circumstances, but we will meet again. We will again talk about AI 171. We will once again ask each other why there's no punishment. We will once again ask each other why nobody's been held to account. As of this minute, Boeing is still happy. He's still getting orders from India, right? Nothing.
Let's look at this way. Boeing, GE, Honeywell, everybody's got away with it.
Nothing changes for the passenger, sir. Mr. Damania,
it has said indirectly.
You spoke about a wedding. You know, there was a passenger there in Bangalore. In Bengaluru, she was holding the ashes of her father, waiting to take a flight to Lucknow. There was an ambulance that was called to Mumbai airport because somebody's health deteriorated after waiting for 12 hours.
Unforgivable.
It's crazy. And can you imagine tomorrow if they were, estimate at least anywhere between 2 lakh and 5 lakh people who are affected, 500,000 people. If 500,000 Indians decide to just go after IndiGo and sue IndiGo. That's it.
But the problem is India people forget very fast and carry on with their lives.
No, it's pathetic, sir. I mean, I just wanted to tell you because the DGCA, and I want to ask you, Shravan, the DGCA is absolutely toothless. They did nothing after, the Ahmedabad crash. They're doing nothing now. And as of this minute, as we speak, I'm seeing some channels carry the headlines. Sir, so forgive me what I'm saying. I'm seeing some channels carry the headlines. Government contains crisis. What the hell have they contained, Shravan? What if they contain the flight?
Well,
flights?
Captain Randhawa, I told you this afternoon also, Captain Randhawa would be in a better position to explain this. But I won't be really surprised if suddenly you see that the pilots are back, IndiGo is flying once again, and perhaps they will find a loophole in this entire thing, and by February things are going to be very, very different once again, because unless there is an intervention here, because remember, this is also what you are seeing. This new norm was not something that the DGCA or the Civil Aviation Ministry thought on their own.
Yeah.
This was basically forced down by the court.
I want to intervene. The government of India has been so fast and swift in giving the dispensation. Have they cancelled the additional flights schedule which they have approved? With DGCA is a party to it. What have they done? They have not cancelled that, and they were blankly they were given the...
DGCA should have approved the new schedule. No, if the DGCA would have said, can you service these aircraft? You have the pilots. And they should have said, shouldn't have cleared the new schedule.
Captain Randhawa, Captain Randhawa, I want to ask you this because, this happened. Mr. Damania, first of all, let me just, tell our viewers here that this norm that we are talking about, which is globally accepted, was actually forced down by the courts itself. While some have argued that, did you really look into how it is going to be implemented, and some even questioned the intervention of the court. Captain Randhawa, it seems that the legal route is the only route available here, because otherwise the DGC wouldn't have taken this in the first place.
What you have rightly said, I told the minister this afternoon that we are already in court. The first time the DGCA has given dispensation after the 1st of November implementation, we have gone to court for a contempt of court, because DGCA cannot give any dispensation when the court has given an order.
Yeah, but who runs the DGCA?
This happens, so if I'm not wrong.
DGCA giving favor on that, and to an airline, and without cancellation of the extra scheduled flights. What nonsense.
Sir, I'll tell you what, one more breaking news update. One of the IndiGo employees was texting us, a few minutes back, and I want to tell you the IndiGo, just a fact, it's a fact, sir. They've not just disrupted weddings of others, and so many people's lives have just changed overnight, right? They've cancelled wedding leaves of their own employees. One employee texted saying, my wedding leave has been cancelled by IndiGo.
Leave aside weddings. There were 45 lakh weddings planned in India from 1st November to December 15.
Correct.
We have 10 more days, 10 lakh weddings. Relatives will not reach. We had the case today where two techies were sitting in Bhubaneswar, unable to travel to Hubli. Their wedding reception, Niranjan, they went online on a screen from Bhubaneswar, and all the relatives were in Hubli. This is what is happening. Is DGCA being held responsible? I don't want to attack only the minister. Yes, the rod starts from the top.
No, they are all part and parcel of it.
DGCA doing, and what penalty are you putting on IndiGo? What are you doing to IndiGo?
Frankly speaking, it's a well-oiled mechanism here.
The position is so bad for foreign tourists.
Captain Khalid,
they are held up everywhere.
Yeah. So
and
the
there is nothing.
Like
Captain Khalid, before I just bring you in, while everyone has been talking here about the fact that what is the role of the DGCA here, they are toothless. The reality is also this, Captain Khalid, correct me if I'm wrong here. Each of these airlines, when it comes to any festivals, you would essentially see them perhaps keeping everyone very happy. There is a system, there's a gratification system that is basically in place. Let's be very clear that till the time that the airlines are in a position to really rule this entire system, nothing is really going to change. Are you saying in favor,
Sean? Say
it. The fact of the matter is that, these are, they would say these are gifts that are given during, perhaps during festivals, and it's a culture, tradition, etc., etc. But the reality is this, ladies and gentlemen, if we are talking about regulators, the regulators who are supposed to be doing their job are giving them 15 days, 30 days.
we must ask the regulator that in the meeting when you sat down with the airlines, specifically IndiGo airline, okay, and you gave some dispensation, what is the firm commitment that has been done? Has there been a commitment that they would hire and take 500 pilots in next 60 days, 90 days, 100 days, 6 months, 1 year?
Yeah.
There was no such talking. Then why was the dispensation given? Because it can be given not for 3 months.
Recruit 500 commanders in next 2 months with whatever money you have. It's not possible. They are not available.
No.
They have to be trained. It's a process that cannot be cut short.
No, but you knew. But one minute. But they knew. They knew for 18 months, right? Parvez Damania, they knew for 18 months.
No, it is not that
overnight.
Sir, what overnight? No, 1 minute. What overnight? Parvez Damania, what are you saying overnight? They had 18 months time. What do you mean overnight?
No, even 18 months. Even 18 months is pretty short to make a captain. Even 18 months
they will not be able to fulfill this requirement.
No, but I'm saying 18 months you did nothing. Now there's no point talking about overnight. There is no overnight. This was 18 months in the coming.
But here
the government needs to ask the IndiGo.
So who will ask, sir? 1 minute. Can I ask you a question? Parvez Damania, I'll ask you a question. Everybody on the screen, let me ask you a question. All of you are well versed with the aviation industry. Have spent your lives tracking the aviation industry. Let me ask you a straightforward question. Are there lobbies in the DGCA? Are there people who are equipped to run the DGCA actually there in the DGCA? Are people in the DGCA equipped to run it? Do they have experience? Point number one. Point number two, do they represent lobbies? Are they on the payrolls of any of these companies? Come to the point, Parvez Damania. Why are you not talking about it? Every time there's a crash, we talk about it. Pilots take sides. Pilot bodies take sides, depending on whether it's Boeing or Airbus. Come on. Are you telling me in the DGCA, people are not complicit? Come on. Say it. I know you're scared to say it. Say it.
Sir, the point
I'm sure it's a well-oiled machinery.
Well-oiled, exactly. Say it.
They just say
people from the airlines.
We can't do anything. You were talking about this. I was really surprised that IndiGo might close down and shut down. We have been fighting with DGCA and civil aviation that overnight the flights are shut off. The airlines closed.
Sir, overnight they're not shut. Sir, overnight. 1 minute, Mr. Mehra, Rajiv Mehra. Oh, it's not just overnight. It just happened. They planned it. Let's get it clear. You had a soundbite of the CEO saying, we decided to cancel it to align it. Sir, it is a planned decision. They made it seem like it's cancelled as an outcome of what has been happening. No.
As a favor, I will say, you see, let us wait till tomorrow. If this cancellation, what he said today, has been done to aligned, but I agree with Captain Saab that the pilots are there, the aircraft is there, why cancel? Whatever you had to run that. At least people are not stranded at the airport.
So because they wanted, can I ask you a question? Captain Ehsan Khalid. Captain Khalid, did they do it to ensure the system crumbles under pressure so that they get the right headline, they get their way? Was it engineered?
1 minute. Whether they did it with this purpose or not, the outcome was that the system did crumble under this pressure.
It did.
So whether the intention was this or not, outcome is definitely this. And the fact remains that such flights were not cancelled unintentionally, as you yourself brought out, that they had the intention of cancelling it. The software update does not happen by shutting it down. It happens seamlessly. You have a software update, and they could have gone to the DGCA and said that fine, we are doing the software update, and there will be some in.
Parvez Damania is disagreeing with you. What are you saying? Parvez Damania is saying something.
Okay.
What are you saying, Parvez Damania?
A statement was given by IndiGo and Air India that the software update is completed.
Yes.
The software update is just a computer program, that is nothing else.
Last Saturday.
Most of the plate software update was done the same day.
Last Saturday it happened. It's over. It's done.
Software update has nothing to do with this
I was
problem.
talking about the software.
Today the IndiGo CEO has said tomorrow there will be 1,000 cancellations. So that means they are mentally prepared for this cancellation.
Yeah, no, I want to play the soundbite. Actually, if you don't mind, I'll pull out the soundbite. If you have the soundbite of the Airbus CEO, that exact portion, I'd like to play that out so that our viewers know. Yeah, from at 8 o'clock we played that soundbite out on top of 8 p.m. There is a soundbite where he actually says, and I'm going to quote him, He says in that soundbite, let me read that out for you. I'm going to play it out as well. I'm just pulling that out. He says in his soundbite, cancellations were made for today as to align our crew and planes to be where they need to start afresh tomorrow morning.
So they were there to the same place yesterday also and today also. If all the flights are there, they haven't gone, planes haven't been repositioned on software.
Yeah, exactly. Listen to him. Listen to him, sir. Listen to him. Listen to him.
Yeah.
Play the bite. Let's play the bite.
Cancellations were made for today as to align our crew and planes to be where they need to start afresh tomorrow morning. Cancellations were made for today as to align our crew and planes to be where they need to start afresh tomorrow morning.
Oh, so does the CEO mean, does the CEO convey that, you know, they were moving the crew today
something new.
for the aircraft?
Planned maneuver.
Changing the entire fleet. It's a normal process what they're talking. When we go sometimes on a plane, there's crew sitting next to us.
No, sir. No. That's not what I'm saying. Not planned maneuver. I'm saying this is planned. This is planned. This is planned.
He's already, if you see his statement, he's already...
Sir, okay, no, what are you saying? Parvez Damania, if it was planned, my question is, if it was planned, why weren't passengers informed? You had over a lakh. Why didn't you inform them?
I'll tell you something. Lack of communication, lack of taking care of the consumer, lack of taking care of them. That is the worst part. More than cancellation, they should have communication. Nowadays, when you fly, messages start coming.
Yes, Captain Khalid.
No airline of the world with this scale of cancellation can look after the passengers and their emotions. Okay, you see the entire American Airlines crumble when there is a snow blizzard going on there, and it is almost the same thing that happens. Okay, to have 180,000, like you were just mentioning, 180,000 people, they will not be able to take care of them. The problem here is that why did the situation come up? It wasn't forced upon them either by regulation or by disaster or by any technicalities. It was an administrative call that was taken to cancel the flight, and now that is what is dangerous.
Okay, sir,
technical.
We have a lot of our viewers who have been waiting to speak on the call on the show. I have Rajiv Bawa from Mumbai. Rajiv, good evening.
Good evening.
Please go ahead, Rajiv.
Yeah, I just had a question is that if DGCA has allowed IndiGo for some delay and everything, they should, by depositing at least 1,300 crores with the government.
I missed the last point of what he was saying there. Okay.
I said that we all are supposed to deposit 50% of the disputed amount. So as a penalizing thing, they should deposit that amount into the government treasury and then fight the case.
Okay, this is with regards to the legal battle that one could actually foresee in the days to come, given the fact that this is a matter that has been in the court for some time. Dilip Kumar is joining us from Bengaluru. Mr. Kumar, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to share my experience on the Delhi-Bangalore flight day before yesterday.
Okay.
So I had a flight at 6:45, and obviously the flight got delayed. And then we were told about one particular gate, number 3. Then again we got a message, some other gate, it kept on changing.
Yeah.
But the irony was that we were we sat in a plane which was not IndiGo tail, but it was some charter airline. And all the passengers went into the plane, and after going into the plane, we were all asked to walk out and again go through another entrance, do a security check in the transfer, come back. Again we came back. Again we were put in that place where we were waiting in the aerobridge to get into the aircraft.
Yeah.
And the person told me that they are talking to the pilots. And the pilots waved and said, we are sleeping, and they went. Again we were made to go through the transfer check-in again to a different gate.
Right.
So this happened 3 times, and finally the flight took off at around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock and landed in Nagpur. And I missed my connecting flight, and the next flight IndiGo said is at 8 o'clock.
Dilip, we can't tell you how many calls, messages, videos we've received into our newsrooms today. And only on that note, and because we're running short of time, I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us. Our coverage of the aviation crisis continues. Ajay, thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the debate this evening. Arnab will be back soon. Thanks for joining us. Shravan, our coverage continues tomorrow as well.
Well, in fact, all who are essentially going through this entire crisis perhaps could also write to us, and we'll take up those cases because your voice ought to be heard and the airline needs to answer.
Thanks for watching.
Time for a quick breather.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।